Thank you very much, sir. Excellencies, good afternoon. Madam Vice President, maa ngi lay nuyu. Ndiaye, or Seydi. I have, please, two questions. One for her, the Vice President from the Gambia, and one for Marcio.
Keep them short.
Yeah, very short. Madam Vice President, I'd like really to jump on your last sentences and ask this quick question. Has their service started for the ferry between Jufure in the Gambia and Gore Island in Senegal? That's for you. Marcio, I will come to you, if I may, to ask you about a project that Mr. Talib Rifai, a UN-backed project for 9 West African countries dealing with sustainable tourism. And we got acquainted with that project by Mr. Talib Rifai himself. The last time he was in Senegal, that was back in June. We were hosting the ATA annual congress, and he told us about it. I mean, he was the one who said that the UNWTO was backing the project. I'd like, please, to know more about it, because I really do not know what's becoming of it. By the way, I'm Aziz Gay, representing the Senegal government tourist office in the US, based in Atlanta now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your questions. Let's start with the Vice President. Madam Vice President, the question about the ferry.
I'm aware of, especially the Senegambia area, I'm aware of the commissioning of 2 new ferries. You know, I'm sure you're aware of the big capacity that we constructed in Greece, we bought in Greece. I'm sure you're aware of that. It was launched in the Gambia. And we are working on, I think, the landing sites for Bara, Banjul, because you have to have the right, facilities. But the ferries are already there. But between Farafenye, that's really tender, Bamba tender, near the Kaula end, that ferry is working. That has started. So the ferries are working. It's just, perhaps you are saying between James Island and Jufure. And Gore Island. Okay. That is Jufure and Gore Island. So we need to do something about it. I'm saying the 2 ministers of tourism. We have a lot of cooperation between us and Senegal. You remember we have an organization, I don't know what you call it, but I launched one of them in the Gambia, and you met also in Senegal. So that's the organization that should take on this. That's for the private sector now to do something about. Don't expect government to do everything. Back you. The private sector has a role too. If they think that there's money in this, it's all business. They'll come into it and partner, maybe with governments. But I think we should encourage the private sector. We should also encourage governments to ensure that link, just like we are doing with the road links, the air links. We should do the same with the ferry links. And I know we can do it. It's there. So start discussing. The minister is here, you are here. So the business starts here right now.
And the other question was going to you? Oh, to you. I'm sorry, Marcio.
Thank you very much. In fact, I think the gentleman refers to the West African cross-border parks. And it's not a coincidence that I have this material here, because one of the issues I came to New York to discuss here is the possibilities of funding for this project. So, in fact, we had a couple of months ago in Senegal a conference about it in order to try to raise funds to it. It's a project that encompasses, I believe, 9 different countries in the region and addresses issues, many issues that have been talked about here. The visa issues, the difficulties to travel from one place to the other, but addresses other issues in terms of benefits to the countries, how to benefit the communities, how to preserve biodiversity, how to build on the assets that all these countries have differently from each other, but also in common. So we are working on this project. It's very ambitious. It's not new. The idea comes from a long time before, but we are seriously looking into it, and we hope we can mobilize partners to implement it.
Very
Thank you very much. My name is Richard Kasisela. I call myself chairman, but they call me president. When they're president, I don't call myself president, of Pan-Africa Business Coalition, based in South Africa. I'm Tanzanian by origin. My key question is, what happened to the other, I don't see them being discussed, other types of tourism, like sports tourism, the medical tourism, which has been done in India. And in Tanzania, they benefited last 3 months. They had Babu, who was trying to treat people there. What happened to that? It's not been spoken about. And the second is, this Somali crisis, what's happening? Is NATO not working? Maybe the CNN guy will help us. For NATO to intervene there, they made it easily for Libya. I think for Somalia it could be easier to eliminate. Otherwise, the so-called cruise tourism won't work because it has to cross that kind of border, and now they're making money to it. So ministers, when you meet as Minister of Tourism, I think you need to put this into perspective. Last is, you must rebrand. This is my comments to every African country. The rebranding is not taking its shape. And this is very, very crucial. If you don't brand yourself, I'm a marketing personnel, if you don't brand yourself, it won't work. Whether CNN talks about you, anything about, if you know today Malaysia, they are branding themselves Malaysia, the Turi Asian, and everybody wants to go there. Even if there's a crisis, still people keep on pumping and going there. Rebranding includes using Google and all that stuff. So I should urge to brand yourself so well. And I'm planning to go to Gambia because I've never been to Gambia. I think, Madam Vice President, I'll be visiting.
Thank you, sir. I don't know if anybody's got answers to that. I'll tell you, when the Somali issue started to get more serious with the pirating, we looked into it. You know how intractable this problem is, and I will tell you, NATO is not particularly effective, or those kinds of bodies are not effective against the type of thing that's going on here. Now, as they get more sophisticated, military bodies become more effective against them. But where the way these guys operate, it's become very, very difficult. As a business guy, I'm telling you, the economics of this are the real problem. The fact is that it is worthwhile for these guys to become pirates. They make substantially more money as pirates than they would make in anything else that they've got going on. It's not a particularly ideologically based issue. This is highly economically based, and that is a very, very difficult thing for organized militaries to fight. But I completely agree with you. You cannot have cruising around there with this kind of uncertainty. You can hardly get the actual commercial shipping that has to be done. But Nigel, maybe you've got some views on what can be done about this Somali issue.
Well, and the one thing I do know is that it was very extraordinary that the Prime Minister of UK actually had a meeting with Cobra about it, which is unbelievable for such actually a small incident. I am also aware that there is a NATO force. I think it's a NATO force sitting off the Horn of Africa. And I'm aware that despite what our Prime Minister said, they hadn't actually been briefed at all. I was told that they hadn't been briefed to interfere. So I think it's much more than that. I think that the governments have involved, and the Americans and the British don't want to get involved after the Black Hawk Down sort of incident. They're frightened of going in again. And if they don't do something, this is going to get very, very serious indeed. You cannot now take any kind of shipping down from the Gulf, really, down towards Cape Town now. It's too dangerous to go there. And my son is a captain of one of the mega yachts. They can't go down that way at all anymore. Nothing is being done. So I think it is something that needs to be discussed by the politicians to decide. Are they just going to let this one run? I don't know.
All right, thank you, Nigel.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. Good morning, Madam Vice President, Manglay Nudila Sargal. And Ali, I'm going to challenge your network a little bit. I would like to remind our distinguished guests here, Head of State and Minister of Tourism of Africa, and also ATA and NYU intellectuals, academic, and private business here, airlines, African Airlines. I'm going to remind you to know that we, the diaspora, are here. The African diaspora are here. And we have a major role to play, and we're trying to play it. But we cannot do it without your support. I always remind you, support the African diaspora. Invite us. Give us little contract, not always going to CNN, the big corporation, but we are here and we are really communicating with the base. If you need the grassroots media, it's us, the diaspora press are here. And I have one of our pillars who are here, Dr. Onyani. He's an intellectual, but he gave himself to the community and to guide and inform and educate our people here, and also to connect with the continent, to really avoid the negativities. And we're not going to sit there and complaining. We have to do something. I'm going to remind you one thing. Aziz is my witness. In 2000, the Minister of Tourism of Senegal, when he was touring Paris and New York, when he went to Paris, there was a family getting ready to go to Senegal for vacation. In the evening before the meeting, the CNN guy said, there's a war in West Africa. And the lady said, I'm not going anymore in Senegal. That was where? In Liberia. Look at Liberia and Senegal, the distance, in geographically. And what I'm asking Ali is to really educate, to ask his anchor and journalists to learn about Africa geography. When something happening in Africa, in one country, in one place, they said Africa. When something happening here in New York City, in Manhattan, they said 42nd Street, between 1st and 2nd. You know, it's clear. But when something happening in Africa, they say, in one country, one place, one area, they say Africa. That is destroying the Africa image. I'm very sorry for that.
What you need is grid street numbers in Africa.
Okay. Okay. Now, what?
Okay, hold on. We do need a question here because I actually have to move on.
I'm going to the question because that's very important.
I don't think you are, but go ahead.
Sorry to challenge you. It's not yourself, but I wanted to remind our people that the diaspora here, thanks to Eddie Bergman, his leadership, he's the one who loved the African diaspora. I'm talking about the African diaspora. It's the African immigrants who are here. I was born in Africa. I come to this country, and I'm doing my best to promote this country, promote my continent. But they, you know, I call myself ambassador without budget because I don't have the support of my own people in terms of economic. Now, the question I'm asking here is what you are doing when you left here to connect with your own country people, to connect with your own people. That's my question.
All right, I'm going to take that as a rhetorical question, mostly because if I don't move on this agenda, I'm going to get not invited back, and then you'll be moderating next year, at which point you can finish the question. But for the moment, thank you. It's very thought-provoking, though. I have to quickly move on. I know I've taken account of all of you who have questions here, but I do have to move on to another part of this for the moment, and that is that we have the esteemed ambassador from Chad here. But in order to introduce him, I'd like to bring Dr. Yao Nyarko, the director of the New York University Africa House, back up to the podium if he's around. There you go, sir. And our ambassador has joined us, and I hope you can introduce us.
Okay. Thank you all for sticking around, hanging around, talking about tourism. We're moving to another part of the program, a wonderful part of the program. We're going to be focusing now on Chad. Chad is a very important country in the heart of Africa, surrounded by 6 nations, Libya, Niger, Nigeria, Cameroon, Central African Republic, and Sudan. How about that for my geography? Not bad, huh? It is a very, very important country. As it does well, so too does many other countries all around it. It is currently relatively poor, but it has huge potential. It has 1.5 billion barrels of oil recently discovered. And all of us have extremely high hopes for the country, not only on oil, but I'm sure all of you here will be saying that tourism is also very important. A good part of the earlier conversation focused on peace and security. And the arguments everybody was making that with peace, with security, you get tourism. This is a university, so we like to change things and sort of flip things around. Isn't it also the case that perhaps with tourism, you also get peace? If you have a tourist infrastructure in place, then the incentives will be aligned not to have a war because it will destroy the tourist industry. Anyway, food for thought. And before we call up the ambassador, I think we have a short video on Chad, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm looking for, yes, I see it in the reflection. It's slowly coming up. Okay, so please enjoy, and right after this, we'll call up the ambassador.
Chad is a country of many contrasts, folklores and wonders, with its plains, savanna, national parks and reserves, all constituting an enormous potential in terms of tourism. Fortified ramparts, quicksands, the Chadian desert, full of rock art treasures, mythical rocks, floating islands on Lake Chad, Lake Fitri, the Gelta d'Arche, the landscape of the Mulai country, hippos and birds of the Chari. Archaeology, zoology, ethnology and vision are the four key words which sum up the attractions of this country and which make it such an exceptional tourist destination. Chad offers its visitors a shortcut to the riches of the African continent and welcomes any traveler in search of an authentic and magical taste of Africa. Agriculture remains an essential sector of the national economy. Arable land represents 39 million hectares, or 30% of the national territory. About 2.2 million hectares are cultivated annually. The irrigable zones make up 5.6 million hectares, of which 335,000 are easily irrigated. There are vast subterranean water resources. Taking full advantage of these potential resources will enable the Minister for Agriculture to fulfill his main role. It's worth noting that the government does not intend the country's petrol exploitation to subtract from its vocation as a farming country. Chad is essentially an agro-pastoral country with great importance placed on cotton production. Agriculture is one of the leading sectors of the national economy. Arable land represents 39 million hectares, or 30% of the national territory. About 2.2 million hectares are cultivated annually. With 17 million heads of cattle, Chad is one of the leading countries in terms of cattle rearing south of the Sahara. It accounts for 18% of the GDP and brings in 110 billion CFA francs each year. Fishing is excellent, and the Chari-Logon Basin is one of the richest fishing zones in the world. In Lake Chad, fishing provides a major source of income and employment. Even though agriculture and livestock raising form the pillars of Chad's economy with 80% of the population working in this sector, petrol, which has been exploited since the 10th of October 2003 in the fields of Doba and soon in Sedigui in the Lake Chad region, is opening up new and real economic perspectives. Education is one of the priority sectors chosen by the government. The education policy of Chad gives priority to basic instruction, which comprises elementary learning, basic informal education and literacy. The subsector of technical and professional training comes second place in the government's list of priorities. There has been notable progress in the development of equality and access to education, in the improvement in the quality of teaching and training, and the education system is better managed. Classed as a priority sector remains a major preoccupation of the Chad government. A 20% increase is granted to the budget of the public health minister each year. Whether it's training, access to treatment or medicines, the health sector remains a major element in the development of the country. Public awareness campaigns have become part of everyday life, stressing the importance of hygiene, vaccinations, the fight against epidemics and especially AIDS. Out of 8 million Chadians, 75% benefit from health coverage. The Zukuma National Park is one of the greatest and most beautiful animal reserves on the African continent. Even though elephants and giraffes are the most emblematic of the animals to be found there, the park is also home to 44 species of large mammals and 300 species of birds. Indeed, UNESCO is showing great interest in this park, which could soon become a World Heritage Site. On the 19th of July 2001, the discovery of Toumai, this ancestor of more than 7 million years, added another jewel to the crown of this rich tourist attraction, making Chad the cradle of humanity. N'Djamena is the ideal starting point on a journey of discovery of Chadian culture. Chad's multi-ethnicity is of capital importance. Each ethnic group has its own way of life, its own tradition and folklore. This multifaceted country is a real mosaic of cultures. The ritual dances performed by the National Ballet reflects the way of life of each region. With an eye to the future, the economic and cultural crossroads of the capital is becoming more and more modern. Today it boasts sports centers, a modern university, and high-quality hotel facilities. But Chad is also a place of history. It was from Fort Lamy that Leclerc's troops set out to liberate Paris. Chad is a gold mine of hidden charms. Its natural landscape is of an exceptional beauty, and its folklore has remained pure and authentic. It's a dream destination for nature lovers. The beauty of the country is surpassed only by the hospitality of the Chadians, who welcome visitors with open arms.
Everybody was expecting President Deby. I'm deeply sorry. He is still in the UN. He was a part of a high-level meeting on Libya, and for a reason we don't know, he's still held there. And he sent his foreign minister and his chief of staff, but maybe they don't have escort, so caught in the traffic. So anytime the Minister of Foreign Affairs arrive here, I am fired from this podium. But meanwhile, please, once more, accept our apologies. And thank you so much for the opportunity given, particularly African Travel Association, African House, and the President, Madame Fatou, Mr. Bergman, and all those who involved to organize and the New York University, this nice, wonderful podium of wisdom and knowledge. All our gratitude for the opportunity given to Chad to show these beautiful images. And Chad is one of the newest members of the African Travel Association. In Dakar, we joined, became full member. My colleague, Ambassador Amina. Sorry, I didn't see you, everybody. So, thank you for the opportunity given to Chad to organize the next meeting in January in N'Djamena, and everybody is welcome. And I am fired, as I told you. You're fired. Okay, Foreign Minister Musa Faki Muhammad is my boss. He's the foreign minister of Chad. He is a former prime minister of Chad. He is a former chief of staff of the president. And he is accompanied by the current chief of staff of the president and a minister of finance only 1 month ago, Mr. Gata Gulu. So that said, as I told you, as soon as the minister comes, I am out of here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. First of all, I want to apologize for President Deby. He sent me to represent him. Excuse my English. So thank you for your warm welcome. Allow me to join you in expressing my gratitude to the members of ATA for this brilliant initiative. Thank you for honoring Chad today in welcoming me in the Africa home at the University of New York, a high place for knowledge and wisdom. I particularly want to express my gratitude to Africa Travel Association and that its president, Mrs. Fatou Mas Jobenjie, and its executive director, Mr. Edward Bergman, not only for their personal commitment to supporting our economic and tourism initiatives, but also for the noble goals set by ATA for the development and promotion of tourism in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, my presence in this sumptuous place is not only evidence of the high level of interest I have always attached to the development of tourism initiative intended for Africa, but furthermore, it speaks loudly about the hope that I have for your particular approach and the fact that you are trying to make the African tourism sector a real engine of economic development for our countries. Such clear interest has been at the cornerstone of our efforts for the development and promotion of tourism in Chad. Our interest also materialized at the 36th World Congress of Africa Travel Association held in Dakar this year, with Chad joining the Travel Association for Africa as a full member. Because we fully understand the major contribution that the real development of tourism